Welcome back to episode
35
of the Couple Goals podcast. We hope you enjoyed last week's episode with Mel and Jackson.
They're off in Nashville at the moment doing some really exciting things. Did you see Melanie was at the listening room?
I know. Listening room with Phil and Co.
We went there when we were there, and it's just basically a venue that you go and listen to songwriters play a song and talk about the song, and then there's probably like 4 people on stage, and they each take turns at doing so, and can't wait to maybe do that when I'm there.
It's quite unique. I've never seen it. Have you been to anything like that before?
Not here. Maybe, the closest is like if you're at a country music festival, they do that.
Yeah.
But no actual venues where it's like a dedicated venue for sharing music.
Yeah, it's quite gnarly. It's I really like it because I find it quite intimate. You can hear what was going on in the writer's life at that point when they share why they wrote the song, etc. And some of the songs they don't actually sing themselves. They've, given to other artists and stuff, and you're like, oh, that was a banger. I didn't realize you wrote it. That's cool. But, last week or last time we did a solo episode, how we pulled these off and twisted them around again. Someone commented on YouTube, and he's like, you realize you could have just passed headsets around. I was like, yeah, I did, but I didn't think about that when you're under pressure. So thanks for the feedback.
Have we done it again though?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
We've screwed up. But that's what made me think of it, because I'm like, every time I turn,
it doesn't really matter.
My gorgeous smile. Can you do me one favor and just quickly double check that we are recording on that camera? I'll hold that for you, and I'm just going to talk solo. So while you're doing that, Amy, it's recording? Yeah, awesome. So we do want to welcome you, and we do want to remind you that next week, June 8th at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now that's just Brisbane time. We have an upcoming live show, which means you can participate live with us. We're going to be standing exactly where we're standing. We're going to have the laptop set up so we can see your beautiful faces, and we're going to be going through the show, but we're going to be able to have you guys participate, share stories, ask us questions as we go, which should be fun because we want to test it out for one. We want to get to know you guys better and potentially see what it's like to do a live show in the future.
Yeah, so what time is it?
7 p.m.
Around 7 p.m, so work will be done, and you do need to register. It's a free event, but...
yeah, you do need to register so we can send you the link.
Yep.
Because we don't want to have all the... On the internet, there's 2 kinds of people. There's amazing people like you guys listening, and there's also pests. We want you to register so we don't have the pests ruining our experience.
Who are the pests?
The people who... I got trolled on TikTok a few weeks ago, and ever since then I've just not enjoyed it. But anyway, the next thing is Patreon. So we launched a Patreon officially when we started this. We didn't really know, I guess, what we wanted to deliver with it, how to work. We just thought, everyone does Patreon who has a podcast, let's do that. Then we decided it's not working for us. You already had a successful Patreon, and now we've sort of combined them.
Yep. It's all in one.
And you can now do 7-day free trials. So if you're listening to this and you want to get all the perks and whatever, all the cool stuff, and do it just to see whether it's a good fit for you or not, head over to Patreon.
Patreon/Amy Sheppard
Pie. And you'll see the membership tiers and which one has the perks and all of that sort of stuff that you may like. And you can have a 7-day free trial of that. To find out if it's what you want or not. So head over there. It also helps support us as well. The $5 a month tier, there's so much crap on the ground here, helps us get more guests on, helps us put these episodes together, and hopefully one day we'll be able to get ourselves a new recording space. But let's dive into it. Life recap. What's been happening, darling, for you?
Oh, what has been happening? It's been, June is going to be absolutely crazy for me. But this past couple of weeks hasn't been too crazy, which has been nice. But I've always, I'm always busy. I've been doing lots of Sheppard things. We've been doing TikToks twice a week, which is great, as in TikTok lives twice a week.
How do you find those? Are they fun?
Yeah, they are fun, actually. I've entered it begrudgingly because I just...
Didn't like
they're
TikTok.
At 8 o'clock, and that's when I like to wind down, and, normally that's when we go and watch a Netflix show, but... once we got going, it was actually really fun, and it's been a great way to connect to our audience. So they've been really, successful little exercise for us. So that's what I've been doing. I went to the Tenerife Festival here in Brisbane, which is sort of the area that we live in, and they
Way to give it away to everyone.
yeah, well, it's not quite the area, but it's close to.
Yep.
And they close off the main street in Tenerife, and it was chaos, wasn't it?
I literally rolled in for 10 minutes. You had a thing of gnocchi there for me. We walked to the water and then decided, let's get out of here.
Yeah, we couldn't even get a drink or anywhere to sit, so we were just like, oh, this is not really fun. So once we had our little feed, we left.
And went back to George's place.
Yeah. So that was my week, really.
Mm.
What have you been up to? You've been a little bit busier.
I had a busy weekend. I did the Spartan race. Now, Spartan race is an obstacle course race, and maybe 4 months ago, a few of us blokes decided we were going to do it together. Everyone was like, yep. And what happens if you don't book things, people tend to flake, and everyone flaked except for me because I booked it straight away. So I chose to do a 5K, a 10K, and a 21K obstacle course race, and it was hell on earth. It was really hard.
That's full on.
Yeah. I had like this. Actually, I don't even need to go into detail. It's not that exciting. That's what I did.
You did really well.
Yeah, I did really well, which is cool. So
actually, that does transition on from the question we got from Ella.
Oh yeah.
Is that where you were going?
Yeah,
with this?
that's right.
I just didn't want you to miss it because there's a great transition into that. So, Lachie, the question from Ella, and she's a Patreon member, I believe.
Sup, Ella?
What's up, Ella? She wants to know, Lachie, what's it like being married to someone in the music industry? And Amy, what's it like being married to a fitness fanatic?
We're doing a scissors, paper, rock. Who answers first?
Okay.
I love scissors, paper, rock.
Scissors, paper, rock.
Scissors, paper, rock. Damn it. You won. Amy wins with the scissors again. I got paper. Always.
So, look, Lachie, yes, he's a fitness fanatic, but he's not like one of those annoying people who is like weighing his food and measuring his protein out and all that crap. Like, I don't think I could be with someone like that who is just like everything revolved around fitness and weighing food. And that's what I love about you. It's a lifestyle. It doesn't sound like a diet. But it is. It's very much like you train every day, but probably like an hour a day.
Yeah.
You're not in the gym constantly unless you're working.
I used to be.
But you've managed to find a balance, and I appreciate that. So it's not too bad. Yeah, but it's consistent with you, which is why you've managed to. People are like, well, how do you have a six-pack without spending all that time in the gym? And it's because you have been so consistent over years. And yes, you work hard, but I don't think it's like really consuming your life. You do have time for other things.
So it's a 10 out of 10 dating me.
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Great question. It was good to get my head blown up there. And obviously for me, what's it like being married to someone in the music industry? It's different. I think it would be like Amy answering the same question. What's it like being married to someone in the fitness industry, where our hours are a bit different? We've sort of managed to meet middle of the way, potentially.
Yep.
You're not as structured as I am, which is also taking some getting used to. And then obviously when you do shows and stuff, it is late night. But there's, I think it's awesome because it gives me experiences I necessarily wouldn't seek out myself.
Yeah.
So
imagine if you were married to someone who also works 9 to 5, and it would just be like.
Yeah, well,
I mean, maybe that would be good for you, but I'm not a person who enjoys routine too much. So.
No, I think, there's pros and cons, but I think it forces me to have experiences that I normally wouldn't have. So I think that's, and at times that's challenging, but I think for the most part, it's awesome. I think, enough.
Well, thanks for the question, Ella. Remember, if you have any questions for us, please jump on the link in our bio and ask us something. You can send us a voice note or keep it anonymous.
Last week's or the weeks before voice note was gnarly.
Yeah, we loved that.
I jumped on before to check and I was like, come on, please.
From Genevieve.
And there wasn't any. So come on. Even if you want to have a crack at introducing us, we'll play that just for lols. Right, Amy, Reddit time.
What have I read on Reddit this week? This week's story is a little quirky. And it's from a girl who's 23 dating a 24-year-old male. And the heading is, I thought I got past my boyfriend's cosplay sexual fantasies, but I don't think I have.
So cosplay is costume, like dress-ups, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was Googling it before. So if it's on my history, that's why.
Yeah, it's like fantasy dress up. So I'm not into cosplay, and I think that it's causing some issues for me. About a year into our relationship, everything was going perfectly, and we had no issues or arguments until one day he was showing me something on his TikTok, and when he opened the search bar, I could see his most recent searches.
Dude, clear your history. Clear your history.
The bottom 2 searches were of a cosplay video game character, which I caught a glimpse of before I quickly sat up and hid it from my view. I didn't even fully register until I searched it on my own. It was filled with ultra-sexual videos of girls in tight-fitting costumes who look nothing like me. I confronted him about it later that night, and he immediately admitted he was using it to get off when we were apart, but he was imagining me in the costume and that it was only one time. Whatever. Which I personally didn't believe and found to be an excuse. Anyway, it's quite long, so we'll paraphrase this. I think, he told her he wouldn't do it anymore, and then she caught him doing it again, and that obviously upset her. It was a violation of her trust, and honestly made her sick to think about because he was most likely doing it all the time.
Dirty dog. Dirty, dirty dog.
Yeah, so basically she says, I can't shake the feeling that he's still looking at other forms of these sexual videos. I'm just not on TikTok. When we're getting intimate, I get in my head that he's imagining other girls in skimpy costumes, and I find it hard to enjoy myself because of that. I feel like he has this fantasy of dating and having sex with a cosplay girl, and I'm just not that. So...
How would you deal with that? If I was, let's role play, let's cosplay here. If that was me, how would you address that situation?
Well, I guess it's like, how often is he wanking off and not having sex with you? Like, how often are you apart in your relationship?
Yeah.
Also, I don't know. I don't think, like, I'm not into cosplay either, so I think it'd be a bit weird for me as well. It's like discovering someone's kink that you shouldn't have discovered. But also, like, it's just fantasy. You know, it's not like he's cheated on you. You know, it's kind of like porn. So, I don't know. And I think it boils down to whether it is worrying because she said it is affecting her in bed. And I think it does boil down to that. Like, is it affecting your relationship in terms of, your sex life and whether he is engaging in sex with you, or whether he is like trying to I guess make you be something that you're not.
Yeah, that sort of ties into the podcast that we listen to. We'll skip the pet peeves and we'll come back to that. I know everyone's excited to hear the buzzer again, but we stumbled across a podcast last week, and it was by Stephen Bartlett, so Diary of a CEO, and it was discussing sex with your partner, the number one sex expert, how to have great sex every time. So obviously that headline grabs your attention.
I guess this links into the Reddit story. Which
yeah. It's sort of some key points around all of that. And how did you find that interview?
Great. I actually didn't finish the whole podcast, I'll be honest.
What?
I only had time to listen to half of it, but what I listened to, I think I got some really great points and probably things I already knew, but she said it in a way which was really interesting. The whole discussion was great.
And it was cool that the sex expert was female, because I think more often than not, it's blokes talking about it, I feel. Well, I obviously don't talk to many women about sex, if any, except for you.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing it from a female's perspective was pretty cool, because then you sort of get to understand both sides, and it was really cool to see that she wasn't biased.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like she was biased. I like that approach. But tying it back into what you were saying, where it's like the communication thing, because let's talk about the sex drives that she was talking about, like sex drives between sexes.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, once again, not always, generally men have a higher sex drive.
Yep.
Because of testosterone. And she was talking a lot about how it's really easy for a bloke to keep wanting to come back, because when you get your nut off, you're like, boom, sweet, let's go again. Not obviously straight away. But more often than not, whereas women, it's like 20% of them. Oh, just drop this microphone. 20% of women can't orgasm through penetrative sex, which is what most blokes are educated to believe or watch through porn. So that was quite eye-opening. I was blown away.
You were blown away by that? It's so weird. Maybe girls just know this stuff, I guess because we're girls. But everything she said in this podcast, I was like, it wasn't news to me. But it was amazing, like listening to the guy who was interviewing her, and he was like blown away by the stat that, you know, only 20% of women can orgasm through penetrative sex.
It's a hard word, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway.
But then she just went into like how like there was so really feel like people should listen to it. We'll post it in the Patreon, I think. But
it does go into a lot of the psyche of men and women, how they're different and how you should cater to each sex, and basically always need to be putting in effort with each other. But also communication was a big part of it, and being honest about what you're into. Yeah,
kinks and all.
Kinks and all. So I don't know. It is a tough one because you don't, in the Reddit story situation, it's like you can't really suppress someone's desires and kinks. But also, like, she shouldn't have to dress up as a cosplay player for him.
And that's where she was sort of discussing, like, if you don't communicate that, you may stay in a relationship that isn't what you necessarily want, because that can lead to infidelity or other things, because when people want something bad enough, they're eventually going to find a way to get it. And that's why, she was saying it's important to talk about it and maybe work out like a compromise. And if you're happy with that, and if you can't reach a compromisation, then maybe, you know, she said so many things that were interesting, and some were for some people and others were.
Well, yeah, maybe the boyfriend might be into lingerie or something like that that she would be also comfortable with. So it's about finding those boundaries and rather than just shutting it off and be like, no, I'm not into that. Why are you still looking at that? Working out like a middle ground that you'd both be happy with, and maybe exploring new things if that's
How would you discuss that?
Well, obviously she's brought it up with him a couple of times. I would just be honest and be like, this is starting to make me feel weird in bed. I don't feel comfortable. I feel this way. And rather than like accusing him, being like, you broke my trust, you did this by looking at cosplay porn, rather than just be like, what can we do in our sex life to maybe spice things up, or like with this, like, I'm not really into dressing as a cosplay artist, but what about if we look at some lingerie together?
Cancel that eBay order.
And we go shopping together. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Is what I would recommend.
It's and the other thing that she touched on was like, and it was really cool hearing about all the hormones and stuff. You hear about the honeymoon phase, which is at first, let's call it 6 months of the relationship, where it's just like you're just always on for each other. And then as you become more comfortable with each other, like anything in life that you see enough or experience enough, you take it for granted, or may not even be the right way to say it, but you don't notice as many things.
You're used to it.
You're used to it. And she was giving an example with her husband, who she'd been married with for 27 years or something. And she was going through a moment where she wasn't finding him as attractive. And it wasn't because he wasn't attractive. It was just because, once again, she was used to him. And they went for a dinner one night, and she noticed all these women looking at him when he walked into the restaurant, because she got there early. And that was for her when she was like, shit, I've been taking him for granted. Like, which we all do. I feel we take each other for granted. So it's having conversations, but also being mindful of how you can work on keeping things, whether it's desirable or like keep that spark there.
Exciting, yeah.
Yeah, keep it exciting. And once again, it can be things like Amy's just mentioned, or what else would you recommend?
Oh, it's like making time for each other for dating and, you know, spending time getting dressed up and doing something.
Yeah, think about the stuff you did at the beginning. I think that's a good place to start, because all the stuff that we did in the beginning to win each other over, it's
easy to get complacent.
Yeah, it's the
Even
first
the
thing.
other night, we went on a date and we cut
fair
all the corners.
How did we forget this?
We cut all the corners.
No, how do we forget this? Date night.
Yeah.
I forgot about this. Oh, epic. Would you tell the story?
Yeah, well, Lachie obviously had just listened to the podcast. Was like, I want to do something exciting. Wrote me a note. Was like, I'm taking you on a date tonight.
Hubba bubba.
You know, wear something warm but still like dress up for
Cas.
dinner.
Yep.
Smart casual. But I don't wear heels. See you at 6 o'clock or whatever.
6 o'clock.
I was like, oh, this is so exciting. And then
Was it? Is that what you were thinking?
yeah, because you don't know what's like. I was getting my hair done, so I had my hair all chopped off, and I was feeling like a new woman.
How did we forget to talk about your hair chopping off
Yeah.
too?
And then so I surprised you with a haircut. You called me
Yeah.
your mother.
No, I said. Look, this is out of context, but let's move on.
And then anyway, you picked me up from my hair appointment and took me on a date, and I didn't know where we were going. And then Lachie was like, "Okay, we're going to do one of the first dates that we did when we were
Ever
dating,
did.
which was get a
Rome.
takeaway pizza and drive up to Mount Cootha."
It sounds so lame, but
if you're from Brisbane, you have done this. Don't laugh
yeah,
at
don't
us.
laugh at us. You've done this.
And we just like sat there and watched a movie, ate pizza.
In the back, so I used to be a chippy, obviously. So we had the back of my ute, and we had a swag in it, and or pillows or whatnot,
Yeah.
and just chilled out. Yep. Anyway, so this time I loaded the cruiser up with pillows, doonas, everything.
We're gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, and we were going to do the same. I even charged my iPad, which is very rare. Like, charge that up because we were going to watch that. Anyway, Amy's hair ran a little bit late, so we were hanging out there for a bit, which was fine. And I had the Spartan race next morning, so I was like, date night could be compromised here. Anyway, we still went to the pizza place, which was fancy as. And those who are in Brisbane know La Dolce Vita or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever.
In
It's
Milton.
the place with the
Eiffel Tower.
I wouldn't call it fancy as fuck.
No.
But when we got there was a bit of a vibe. There was a guy on a accordion playing covers. And we're like, oh, this is cute. Like, let's actually sit down. So
Yeah.
like we'll have a pizza and then maybe we can go up and watch like an episode.
But it was just such a hybrid experience, right? We were sitting under the Australian version of the Eiffel Tower eating pizza, eating Italian.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
That is
weird.
It was weird.
But
And
anyway.
Anyway.
By the time we'd eaten and finished dinner, we were like, should we still go to the Lookout? And both of us sort of
Like, nah, let's just go home.
dogged the idea. And we're watching Chimp Empire on
Yeah.
Netflix, which is also a big recommendation. Really big
Yeah, so it was a bit sad that we didn't actually do the full date. Like, we just kind of cut corners, and then we're like, oh, should we like have a bath? I'm like, oh, no, let's just go to
bed.
Because we're so used to, we're like, oh, it's fine. Like, nah, it's good.
Yeah, but I guess that's one of those points where it
You
was
gotta
still
make an
fun though.
effort.
Like
It
we
was.
had fun because we weren't eating. You know, we always sort of stay in our bubble, so it was good to get out. So it was still, had that spontaneity.
Yeah, it was
to
nice
it.
to go to a restaurant we don't always go to.
So that was fun. So there's a little date night. But highly recommend listening to that podcast and getting your partner to
What's
listen
it
to
called
it.
again?
The number one sex expert, how to have great sex every time. We will link it in the Patreon.
It is great for people who've been in relationships for
a long time. Because, it's important to talk about all this stuff. And we'll probably, it may be something that we dive deep into next week's live one.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see what happens. Anyway, is there anything else you would like to discuss?
No, I think that's everything for this week. We're keeping this one quite short because we've got the big live coming up.
Yep.
But yeah, let's do pet peeves and then.
Oh yeah,
let you
forgot
guys
about that. Let me hit the
go.
pet peeves. Gee whiz. Let's see, is it this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, pet peeves. Goodness,
peeves.
what did you plan this week?
This
I have
week,
nothing this
it's
week.
definitely been my pet peeve before, but again, Lachie gets up far earlier than I do.
Oh yes, I've got the funniest one on this.
And no, you're not going to say that one.
Carry on.
And I can't get back to sleep this week. Like normally he'll leave and whatever, I roll over and go back to sleep. But I just, every time your alarm goes off, I need to pee. And I'm like, okay, I got to go to the toilet now. And then when I get into bed, I'm like wide awake. And then I hear you having a shower, I hear you opening and closing things, clanging cups. And I literally don't go to sleep for another hour. So I go to sleep again at 6 o'clock and sleep for another hour or so. And it's like when I wake up, I feel like I've been hit by a bus.
Well,
So, and then again this morning you got back into bed.
well, I've been sick. I was very run down.
Yeah, I allowed it because of that.
So normally I get about 6 hours. This morning I had a shower and then I was sitting on the thing and I was like, I just don't feel good. I was like, I'm only going to deliver a poor experience to my clients, blah, 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 blah. So canned it, jumped back into bed till 8 o'clock. So got up at 4:10, back to bed till 8 o'clock. Doubled my sleep time pretty much, almost. Amazing. And it feels good. But it's actually not a pet peeve, but it's quite funny. So normally, because Amy's like still half asleep, I'm sort of getting ready for the day. I'll walk her from the bedroom to the toilet and like stand out the front like security, like this. Anyway, now we've started doing like a little conga line, which is even funnier. So I'll walk ahead, she'll just put her hands on my shoulders and I'll direct her to the bathroom and then direct her back as well. So I don't have a pet peeve again. I have a pet laugh. A pet, what would you call it? Pet moment. I think it's funny. Should I get a peeve? No. Happy with that?
It's too late now.
Cool. I'm happy with that. Anyway, guys, we really, really hope we see you guys on the live next Thursday, the 8th. You can register. Just head over to the Instagram, Couple Goals. Click on the link, and I think it's the first one. Literally says, join our live. Just drop your email address in there. You'll get all the links, etc., and we'll be able to run this live with you. Like I said, we don't know. We've got a bit of a framework, but I'm nervous for it, to be honest, because I've never really done a live podcast ever.
No, I think it's going to be good. As long as people register, jump on, and join us, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Awesome. Over and out. Hooroo.
See you guys.